Okay, kia ora everybody, and welcome to the Waipuna Halswell-Hornby-Riccarton Community Board meeting, first one for the month of May. And just a reminder to everybody that the meeting will be videoed and live streamed and recorded. So just a heads up to everybody that that's likely to happen. And moving on then with our agenda, apologies. We have an apology for Gamal for today. Is there any further apologies? Would somebody like to move that Gamal's apology be accepted? Been moved Mark Peters and seconded by Anne Galloway. Is there any discussion? Well, then I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against of any? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. Declarations of interest. Has anybody got any matter that's before our board today that they wish to declare an interest in? No? Okay. Moving on then to the confirmation of the minutes of our previous meeting on the 13th of April. Or the 12th of April. Been moved by Mark Peters. Seconded by Andre Moore. Is there any discussion? Well, I'll put the motion in. All those in favour say aye. Against? Declare that carried, and just thank staff for the excellent job they've done again and recording that meeting on paper so that everybody that wasn't or couldn't see part of this meeting would be able to have a good look at the record of the meeting.
Mike, do you want us to remove our mute buttons when we're voting?
Oh yes, you can, but I can see the hands going up. That was fine. Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Okay, that's what we're doing. Great.
Yep. So the public forum, and to my knowledge, there are no public forum today. So moving on then to deputations by appointment, and there are none today. So moving on then to presentation of petitions. And at this point in time, we have not received any petitions to be presented. So then I'll move on now to the correspondence. And we've got correspondence from on parking issues in Totara Street in Fennelton, and also a letter and survey from the local residents, Adrian Shaw and Alan McDowell, and a letter from the local residents, David and Christine Saunders. So would somebody like to move that we receive those letters of correspondence?
Okay, I move.
I think Helen's got a hand up. Was that to, yeah. But anyway, Helen's got a hand up. Is that to yeah, and Jimmy's seconding it. We okay with that? Yep. Any discussion? All those in favour then say aye.
Helen's talking, but she doesn't realise she's not on mute.
Oh, okay. Helen's got a hand up, but she's muted.
Oh, okay. Look,
Yep.
There's two things. We've spelt Totara wrong. And
I realise that.
Yeah, and I think we just changed that. And Fendleton, I think it's sort of Riccarton. We're the Riccarton Award at present. So I think it should be Riccarton. Otherwise, it's sort of confusing once it gets to staff here.
Well,
It should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct that.
Okay.
Can I say that this seems to be the overflow from university?
We're just receiving the correspondence, Helen, at this point.
But we are sending it through for a relatively quick response, because
Yes.
it was tabled about a year ago and it's sort of gone missing. So I think it's needed, and it really is a university overflow.
Oh, well, you can bring that, Helen, you can bring that up in elected members information exchange, but it's not an agenda. The agenda item today is to receive the correspondence, which we've done.
Yes.
So,
That's right.
With those changes about Hamilton, yeah.
So the hearings panel report on the Halswell Domain Miniature Railway and Pond new lease, and I'd like to suggest that even though we've probably all read the report. Anne Galloway, would you like to present this item on our agenda today as the chair of the hearings panel?
That's good.
Excuse me, Mike, did we vote on receiving that report, that correspondence and forwarding it on? We had a mover and a seconder, but did we vote on it?
Yeah, we had a mover and a seconder, and then I noted Helen's hand up, and then it was she was muted. So
yes, but did we have a vote?
No, well, I'm not sure. All those in favour of receiving the correspondence say aye.
Aye.
Indicate with the hand.
Thank you.
Anybody against? Well, I'll declare that carried. Thanks, Faye. Thank you. Now, Anne, we're in your hands.
Oh, kia ora koutou. So it's with pleasure that I bring this report to the board. Myself and community board members Helen Broughton and Mike Mora were on the panel, and I was appointed as chair. It was a delightful hearings panel to be a part of. This group, a tremendous community focused group, and it was wonderful to hear the work that they've been doing, how loved they are in the community. And after some deliberations, we have made a few changes to the staff recommendation, which you will see, but it is, I recommend this report to you, and I ask that you approve it, the recommendations today. And so I guess now we'll hear from staff in terms of any feedback they have, and there will be a time for questions. So kia ora.
Sure,
Yeah,
thanks, Ben.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Now we hand over to Peter.
Thank
We've
you.
got staff.
Yeah.
We've got staff there for that, Faye.
Yes, Pete Barnes here, Senior Planner Parks
Pete.
Unit. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Yes. Well, I don't have any updates on any matters or correspondence since the hearing. I haven't had any correspondence with anyone, or no matters have been raised with me. So to summarise from a parks planning perspective, this is a long-term leasee, as you would have heard and read in the agenda item, an excellent working relationship with not only just council but other lessees, neighbours, quite committed to maintaining their activity and their site. So this is utilising a piece of land that is not really suitable for anything else. It's low-lying, and it makes excellent use of that site. At the same time, it complements other halls or domain activities. We're aware, of course, there's the playground, skate park, and various other sports activities. So the new loop, and also formalising the use of the lake or the pond, and that's, of course, really formalising what already exists. The lessee CSME is very keen and happy, and encourages pond use by the public. Plenty of time for them to use the pond as well. So there's a quick summary from me from a parks planning perspective, and I've got no further updates or comments following on from the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter. Is there any questions of Peter?
Jimmy has his hand raised, followed by Andre.
Okay, Jimmy.
Peter, may I ask you the 4.4 majority people support, only 3 of them not support. But if we review the 4.7, it looks like staff, or hearing panel have a response regarding 4.7.1 and the 2. How about 4.7.3 and the 4.7.4? How to mitigate these two effects? Where about we can see the
Can you? I'm sorry to interrupt if you hadn't finished, but can you help me out with the topics of those paragraphs? Unfortunately, I've got had trouble getting a copy of the agenda item, so I can't look that up. What matters are they, please?
4.7 is concern and comment in opposition to the proposal.
Yes.
Include the 4.7.3 and the 0.4 is a CSMEE operation is intrusive and a noise. especially the tooting from the transit. And
Yes.
point 4 is a new track proximity to house and the footpath with
Okay.
roads or amenity. These two, yes.
Okay, well, I can talk on the matter of the tooting, which is part of the train operation, and the location of the track to adjacent neighbours.
Yes.
With regards to tooting, that was raised in passing by a couple of submitters, and that was a topic of discussion in before the hearings panel.
Okay.
We heard that, I'll keep this brief, but I will be very happy to elaborate further if you wish me to. I informed the hearings panel that the CSMEE have previously tooted more, not just in a safety or for safety purposes. They have tooted for the enjoyment of the public, and they've tooted in several locations. But they have, throughout 2021, they had feedback that some other park users and neighbours didn't like the tooting. So without the council being involved, they were happy to change their number of toots, and that's merely limited now to when the driver believes there is a safety issue. And this was discussed in a hearings panel, and there was some keenness for that to become a condition of the lease. So that is listed as a condition. And from a parks planning perspective, we've got other users there that I think there's a small chance that someone could stray onto the track, or there could be a safety concern with the train. And I think it's quite acceptable and reasonable for a toot to happen in that occasion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
And if
thank
someone
you,
else,
Jimmy.
one of the
Yeah.
hearings panel members might wish to discuss that further, perhaps before we get on to the proximity of the track to neighbours.
Yes, well, I've just, Andre, you've got your hand up.
Well, coincidentally enough, my question was about tooting, so perfect timing. As I understand it, so when I read that on the report that approves the new lease, subject to the understanding that tooting will be for safety purposes only. So as it turns out, on the track, there's about 4 different areas where the track will go. It'll go over a public walkway, or where people will be walking. So the train would still be able to toot at these times, meaning that everyone who enjoys the train toots will still get to enjoy them on several occasions around the track. But they will take place. Those toots will take place in these areas of the track specifically. So yeah, my question was going to be if there's any comments, but you've already covered that, which is excellent. So the good news for families, yes, they will still get to enjoy toots and be safe at the same time. Sounds like a win-win. My question is, if you know what sort of timeframes we might be looking at going forward if this gets approved today, sort of what sort of timeframes the club will be looking at going forward between now and being able to actually start work, if you are aware.
Yes, I can comment on that. But perhaps before I do, if I can, very briefly, your comment on the tooting is all correct, and that's correct. However, I'd just like to point out that actually the number of toots on the new loop will be less than on the existing loop. Just the nature of the terrain and crossings and lack of trees with the new loop. So in fact, while this new lease covers the existing and the new loop, if we just look at the new loop, there will in fact be, there's not going to be any more tooting per track, just to clarify that point. And the question on time frame, John Hamilton, who's the project manager for the Canterbury Society for Model and Experimental Engineering, I know is being proactive and is working hard to look at the programming of the work, and also a number of consents that are needed through the district plan. John is championing at the bit to get that done, and I know the society will be in general, but I do not have a time frame on that.
No worries at all. Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter, and thanks, Andre, for your question. Debbie, you've got your hand up. No. Debbie, you're muted.
Yeah, I just saw that nobody else's hands was up, so I just thought it'd be a good opportunity just to, so I agree with the staff report and would like to move it.
Okay,
Happy to second.
seconded by Andre. Is there any further discussion? If there's
When debate.
Oh, yes.
If I could, just very
Yes,
briefly.
Of course you can. Of course you can.
I would just point out how what a great job staff have done, particularly with the amount of submissions that have come through. We've got over half the amount of submissions on this project as we do on the Christchurch-wide annual plan. A really, really good job has been done in the public consultation period. So my hat goes off to all involved.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Now, Mark Peters, you've got your hand up.
And Anne as well, Mike.
Yes, I see. Yep.
Yes, I'd like to congratulate everyone who's been involved in this, and I think Andre, you did a pretty good job of wrangling a number of his submissions on this, so well done, good job. And I think this is a great use of the reserve and fantastic development for Halswell and our part of town, so I'll certainly be voting in favour of this.
Thank you very much. And I just see that Philippa Upton has just popped in and she's the consultation person. So I know that we're in debate now, Philippa, but if there's any questions, we got a question from Anne and a question from Jimmy now.
Oh, another question. Just
No debate. Yeah.
Comments.
No, we're in debate. Yes, we're in debate.
But Philippa may have something to add because I think she was having trouble with sound before.
I was, and also then getting my video set up properly too. Sorry,
Well,
not really. I don't have any particular comments to make except thank you for that, and really pleased to know that it's been such a positive outcome, and we had such good feedback, and also that all those issues that have been raised have been carefully addressed by Pete and other people who had input into that. So yeah, I hope it works out really well. It looks as though it will do, and it's been a good project to be involved with. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippa. And if you weren't in on time, there's been a lot of praises sung about the consultation and the way it's presented to the hearings panel as well.
Thank you. I have been listening to the last few minutes, so thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out the intention for the model train group will be doing a lot of the planting and replanting and moving of vegetation, which is excellent. So they will be saved and preserved. Also, the response to the additional bike parking has been included. Is lots of people bike there on a Sunday afternoon, which is terrific. So both of those have been incorporated, and it's just going to add so much to the already wonderful community facility and event. So thank you. Thanks,
Anne. I've got Jimmy and then Debbie.
Yeah, I also would like to take this opportunity. I want to expect to many thanks to the staff. Prepare all those the document information. Also acknowledge the hearing panel and Galway and Mike Moore, and also the Helen Broughton, because while you review all those written submissions, and also to listen but eventually there's no oral submission, but not easy, 263 those written submission, and also you have kind of improve, mitigate those effects, to make this very practical, implementable, So well done, well done. This I would like to comment for your hearing panel and the staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. And I've got Debbie now. We're still in debate. Debbie.
I'd just like to thank all the hard work too from the staff. Look, as everybody knows, I've been in Halswell for a very long time, and the miniature railway has been there for goodness knows how long, and they're not here. They're not just part of an asset to Halswell. The whole of Christchurch enjoys that miniature railway. I get feedback, and I've been there from time to time. People from Rolleston, Prebbleton, from the east, from the north and the south, all over Christchurch, bring their children and grandchildren to this mighty train. So thank you, and it will continue being a huge benefit that is in our Halswell ward, but it is enjoyed by many across the city. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and I'd just like to acknowledge Rod Werity, who was the key to the relocation of that from St Andrew's Crescent. Back in the day. You'll see my name on the plaque on the building at the opening of it. So yeah, no, it's really, really good. So anyway, if there's no further debate on that,
Where did it relocate from, Mike?
St Andrew's Crescent in Addington, or yeah,
Oh, yep.
Sydenham, Addington area. Yes, it did. Okay, no further discussion. Then I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, if any, declare that carried. Thank you very much. We really look forward to enjoyable Sundays at the Model Engineers. Moving on then to the proposed, the Halswell Quarry song of, the Songpa Garden. Sorry about my pronunciation. But anyway, the report looks absolutely wonderful.
I'm happy to move, Chairperson. Yeah, because
Jimmy, you're happy to move the report?
Yeah, we did a presentation before, you know.
Yes.
Katherine's got a question.
Seconded by Catherine. True. Is there any discussion then? Well, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, if any, carried. Thank you. And we look forward to having a visit and to actually see that progress another step. Thank you very much. Proposed road names: 316 Kennedy's Bush Road. I've read the report and seen the logic behind the name that's chosen.
I'll move it.
It's been moved by Debbie.
This one, may I ask one question?
Yes, Jimmy.
I just want to know, because the preferred name, you know, is put forward by the applicant. Also, this the original owner, but in here, the staff particularly mentioned they settle in the area is not too long. I just want to know what's the series of criteria. How many years, you know, owner living there can be recognized?
No, well, in the report it says that
Yes.
the owner, the dates in there when they actually acquired that land.
Yes.
But the original person was Irish, came out here to New Zealand, and then
that's
went
right.
over to the coast and was farming, and
Yes.
then came back to that area and farmed it, and now they're selling that. So that the family's occupation on that piece of land is not
Yes.
of a great length of time. That's what the staff say in their report, Jimmy.
Yeah, I understand, but there's the applicant, you know, there's I don't know how to pronounce it. My hand, am I right? That's their ancestor name. If we
Yes.
remember, that should be reasonable. Why we are not, you know,
Because as it says in the report, Jimmy, that council have got a policy not to use people's names now.
Yeah, I know, because he
And
settled
to-
there only
the
several
swing
years.
and there is a swing to Terreo names.
Yes.
So, yes. So, are you happy?
No.
with my
I just
response
want
to
to
that
know
question?
how many years, you know, people living there, they are qualified, you know, to be named.
I think it's I think it was in the 60s or no. It's anyway. It's in the report, Jimmy, in the staff report. The
Okay.
date that they came back, that they actually started. Yeah, it was after, you know, during the time of the fires over there as well.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, only 9 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's
brother.
my question.
Good
Yes.
goal. So if there's no further discussion or questions, I'll put the motion in. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, if any, carried. Moving on now to our next item.
Sorry,
on-
Mike, I didn't catch the mover and seconder. The mover was
Debbie.
Debbie and the seconder was? Did we have a seconder?
Catherine.
Catherine, thank you.
Yes. Yep. Just beaten by just bet you, Anne. Okay, moving on then to the next one, which is the Orion easement on the Southern Express Cycleway. And yes, it's a quite a detailed report,
Yes.
but it makes a lot of sense to me. And
Mhm.
so
Yes.
Mark Peters is happy to move it,
I'm second.
and Jimmy's happy to second it.
Yes.
Is there any discussion? No discussion, no debate. Well, then I'll put the motion, the recommendation, staff's recommendation. All those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, if any, carried. That's wonderful. We're trucking along really well. Now we go to clause 2 of our agenda, which is the Waipuna Halswell-Hornby-Riccarton Discretionary Response Fund application from the Avonhead Play Centre, the Halswell Hall Incorporated, the Chinese Joyful Club, and the Hornby Good Companions Club. So we've all read the report. We've seen the applications. Do we want staff to do a report on that? Are we comfortable
Yes.
with it?
I only have
Jimmy?
regarding to the application, the third application, the Chinese Joyful Club, because I'm concerned they the request $2,040, but the staff, review and own to grant the 2,000. But I compare with some other application, like $2,054 start for among the other three. So I would like to amendment, this $2,040. I review those metrics, no any difference with some other application.
I'll second that. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, we've got 3 seconders because I was going to second that. But anyway, I think, Helen, you had your hand up
Yeah,
first.
I'll second that.
Okay.
It's just a small amount
Hang
extra.
on. Emma.
Small amount, yes.
Do you want to take some staff advice, because there is a reason behind this, and Bailey is online to answer the question?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bailey.
Okay, yes.
So there's a $2,000 limit essentially for the informal groups,
Oh,
so
that's right.
groups that aren't incorporated or a charity. So the 2,000, although it's only $40 difference, that was just to keep consistency with that limit. So $2,000 for informal community groups.
Okay. So you mean that they are not a charitable trust?
Yeah.
You for up to the 2,000.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
I go with a start.
I'm
Otherwise,
happy with
I
that
get
too.
lost. I get lost.
I'm happy with that, Mike. If we just
Yep.
stay
No,
at
that's as
2,000.
good as gold.
Okay, I'm still would like to move. Staff
You wanna move it?
recommendation. Yeah.
Staff recommendation on all
Yeah.
of them.
Yes.
We've got a seconder for
I'll
that.
second
That was
that.
Mark Peters. Yep.
Okay.
Any
Thank
discussion? When I'll put the motion, all those in favour say aye.
you.
Aye.
Aye.
Against, if any? Carried. Thank you very much. Now moving on to the next exciting part of our agenda, which is elected members information exchange. And I would just like to start off with, I did attend the Greater Hornby Resident Association meeting on Sunday. And that was quite, quite a good meeting. So there's quite a lot happening there. I'll give others an opportunity to expand on that. But the other thing I wanted to say was I got an email from Mark Duff today to say that he's had some correspondence from council staff who were dealing with the property owner over the back of Branston Street, the Branston Pit Bund, and they've been working with the developer, with the owners of the property, and the containers are being shifted. And also there is plans will be plans coming to do a landscaping plan along there. So staff are on to it. They've been working with the developer, with the property owner over the back. This has been going on for a long time. It's a bit of a mess, but anyway, thankfully it's getting cleared up. So yes, that's my two things that I wanted to bring up at this point in time.
Can
Helen?
I ask a question on that?
Helen? Yes.
Yes, just a question on did they talk about the 6 stories round Hornby Mall, and were the group opposed or relaxed about it?
Yes, no, there was discussion on that, and it'll be recorded in the minutes of the meeting. So when the minutes of the meeting come out, Helen, I'm quite happy to share them with you, unless
Yes.
unless Mark or Debbie want to add to that, but certainly it was discussed at length, and we are,
Okay.
the resident association are really concerned about that issue.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
they are. Yes.
Good, thank you.
Now I've got Mark Peters.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was also at that GHRA meeting, and it was a good constructive meeting as always in Hornby. There were a number of issues raised, and picking a few out of the chairman's report, which is always incredibly comprehensive. Mr. Duff does a very good job at bringing issues forward, so take my hat off to him. The men's shed in Hornby is mentioned, and noting that there are some delays and problems with resource consenting there. So it would be certainly interesting to have some sort of report from staff as to what the likely prognosis on process around that consenting for
Sorry,
men's shed.
you mute, Emma, can you mute Helen, please?
Sorry.
No, you're making a lot of noise shifting papers all around, Helen.
Yeah.
You haven't unmuted yourself. Yeah. Okay. Carry on.
Yeah,
No.
so if there's any way we can get any advice on what's the time frame might be around the men's shed getting onto Waikola Park would be certainly quite handy for the board, I think, to know the process.
Yeah, and of course we're also looking at an alternative site as well, which is I'll be discussing with the council tomorrow morning.
Oh, good. Pleased to hear that. It's, that was a site that needs to be brought back out of the fire and used for a good community purpose. So
if I can just note that that's a resource consent process that sort of sits outside the board's jurisdiction, and we are normally involved in those.
That's fine. I understand that. It's still handy to know what time frame might be around those sorts of consentings. That's a valuable asset into our community, that men's shed.
Yes.
Then Hornby Toy Library was mentioned as having some vandalism through Anzac weekend. So unfortunate to see that happening in our community, and good on the GHRA and others for helping with their security upgrade to help make that more traceable and a chance to actually track down the offenders and have some justice restored onto the situation.
Yes.
Another mention here of the railway line and traffic island beautification around Carmen Road, and whether that might be something that we as a board can perhaps liaise with the GHRA and other authorities to try and move that forward.
Yes.
I think that would be most useful.
Thank you.
Waterloo Road is again mentioned, of course, in the Gilberthorpe's intersection.
Sorry to interrupt, Mark. Can I just take you back to the railway line beautification? I didn't quite catch where that was around.
Yep, that's let's see.
Carmen Road, Shanes Road.
Area.
Carmen Shanes, thank you.
And I believe also coming into South Road as well.
Thank you.
Very good. Of course, the Waterloo Road, Gilberthorpe's intersection came up again, and we're due for that. Is that coming onto our agenda sometime soon?
No, that's part of our annual plan submission, which is going to the council tomorrow morning.
Cool. But there has been mention of that coming back to our board sometime this month, I believe.
Faye might be able to update us on that.
Is it going tomorrow?
Or what?
The annual plan.
Tomorrow morning.
Or tomorrow.
Yeah, I remember the staff, the traffic staff mentioned they were presented to the community board.
Yes.
Soon, but at the moment I don't know. Didn't get any further response. Yeah.
Well, staff might be able to help us with an answer to that.
Yeah.
I can't see any report in either of the May meetings at this stage.
Okay. If we could.
Sorry, I'm just having a quick look through to. No, sorry.
Been noted here again.
I can't help. Yep. We noted that it's weighted. Yep.
Yes. No, thank you. Because if we can get that sooner rather than later, that would help to, I guess, allay some ongoing concerns, because we've been waiting a long time. next point that was brought up was boy races around the Hornby area.
Wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you. The beast wasn't out, Mike.
For a change.
So yeah, that's I think coming to our board with a letter from the GHRA around trying to get some assistance around that. So that we can watch out for that one.
Okay.
The Cycleway and Buchanan Road trees was mentioned as well, and waiting on that advice back to our board as to where those trees are planned. I guess we'll see that sooner rather than later as well.
Yeah, well, Jimmy was at that meeting and he certainly gave us a good update on that when he could. Yeah.
Denton Park trees was mentioned too, with Lynn Hucklebridge and the church and a few others mentioning the need for some, I guess, pruning and trimming of the trees. There's been some issues around pollen and getting into residential filtering systems and so forth around the park, and I would be hoping that we've got some action with staff around some planning towards helping with that situation.
There was an email came through this afternoon on that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And with that, and thinking of trees, Branston Park has also had residents mentioning problems with trees blocking their evening sun. I think there was some advice back there. Wasn't much could be done other than removing the trees, which I find quite staggering. And whether we can have some feedback to the board around that would be quite handy, to see whether we can get some pruning and trimming done on those trees to help the residents out, because it's breaking their fence and sheds and all sorts of infrastructure around the boundary of that park.
And is that on the south side of
eastern side? Well, in fact, east and west.
Okay, east and west. Okay.
Of Denton.
Of Branston Park was the second one. Denton was the first one.
Oh, Denton was the first one.
Yeah.
Do you know, Mark, whether any service requests have been put in?
I haven't been made aware of any, but I'm sure we can ask Mr. Duff and his GHRA crew. I'm sure he would have done some sort of service request on that.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
Very good. And then I was at the TRA meeting last night as well. And there was a very good presentation made by, I think it's an Arnie Burgess, who is on the school board at Templeton School.
Okay. Yep.
And he made some very, very good points there around safety planning on Kirk Road and the school pick up and drop off. And it sounds like some good work's going on there with the council staff, which is great. And there were some interesting ideas floated around the idea of perhaps using the community centre car park as potentially a pick-up drop-off and perhaps adding a driveway, so you can have an entry and exit out of that car park to make it a nice, safe pick-up drop-off point. But it was really interesting having Arnie Burgess talking to that meeting, and the fact that he works for WorkSafe. And so he's very knowledgeable in the areas of safety, and particularly on Kirk Road with the heavy traffic and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
it certainly would be handy, I think, to for us to work closely with Arnie Burgess and use his knowledge and resource to be able to get on top of maybe a few other issues around the board as well in regards to school pick up and drop off from a WorkSafe point of view, which could be quite useful. Then also they were talking about wanting to check on, are there any plans in hand for the Templeton pool after the Hornby Centre opens in late 23, and concerns there, I guess, that when the Hornby Centre opens, are there any plans for potentially closing the pool, which would be an absolute tragic loss to Templeton. So hopefully we can keep our finger on that pulse and make sure that there's nothing untoward as Hornby gets a new centre, that Templeton gets disadvantaged.
Faye and Emma, can we
hang on?
Request follow up on that?
Well, Mark's doing his
Yep.
one. Just
That's pretty much where we're heading on that one. Debbie, thanks for interjecting.
Yeah.
That's good. Good teamwork.
Yep, okay.
So that's. Oh, and the other thing that was naturally raised out there was the decision by council to investigate options for shifting Bromley compost facility, wanting to ensure that there is not likely to be any parking in the backyard of the Hornby ward in or around Templeton or any other inappropriate area. So hopefully, as that process is followed through with staff, that there won't be any plan to make it a problem in our ward.
That's fine. Yep. All
Very
good.
good. Yep. And one last thing I've got is Hampton Reserve was mentioned at the GHRA meeting on Sunday as well. And there was a visit by, I believe it was a Botanical Gardens arborist to help clean up a fallen cabbage tree. And there was talk around the idea of perhaps looking to see whether we can get more of the cabbage trees I guess removed was the word that was used, or whether they can be assessed as to their appropriateness and their health as to whether they need to be removed from that reserve. And with that, there's a number of fences that are in very poor state of repair around that reserve.
Okay.
And with that, there's a bunch of vines that are growing over a lot of fences, and there's a general tidy up needed around the perimeter of that Hampton Reserve. We can have that referred for some planning to get that remediated would be handy. Thank you.
Yeah, well, the residents had put RFSs in and got some action on it, so that's happening, which is good.
It's a good start.
Yep. Okay. Now we've got Debbie. I think you were next, and then Jimmy and Andre.
Okay. Last night I attended the online webinar in regards to intensification, which was quite advantageous, leading into our submissions committee tomorrow about that. And of course I was multitasking, attending the TRA at the same time. It's interesting, isn't it? The technology can be a bonus at times. So anyway, intensification, I've had a lot of people come to me regarding their concerns of intensification. We might want to highlight that Templeton isn't excluded, however, probably not probable at this stage, but not excluded, because they felt that it may not happen. The other thing too, just following on from Mark about the Templeton pool, Emma and Faye, can we please ask Parks and Rec, is it Nigel Cox perhaps, if or what are the intentions regarding Templeton pool? I think the Templeton community really want to get a heads up here in regards to that, with strong emphasis of keeping it. They're really wanting to keep it.
I'd support that too, actually. Good idea.
So is there any reason why they think it won't be kept?
Well, I mean, I suppose you only need to look at Waranui and the probable decommissioning of that when they were looking at opening up the metro centre. So, and Waranui's a much larger pool, so people do act a bit frightened at times, wondering what might happen to their community, which are on the fringes of Christchurch, but we really want to preserve that.
I just wondered if they'd heard anything because because I haven't.
I think
I haven't either. No.
Yeah, it was brought up by someone else who just thought that they just felt to keep the finger on the pulse, see if there's anything in the air about it. So is there any? Can we get some questions asked on that?
Yes.
What can you ask for advice around the future? Of Templeton pool post the initiation of the opening of the Hornby Centre.
The other thing that was brought up was about that Kirk Road by the school, whether or not we can have traffic investigate traffic restrictions by the school, because they're having trouble with lots of trucks and trailers parking there and parents not able to park there to pick their children up. So is this the right place to request a traffic investigation on perhaps only during school drop-off pickup time?
Well, did I take, Mark, from what you said, that the
Yes.
school travel advisors are already working with the school?
It
So-
does sound that way. Yes.
Yeah, so I think they'll look into that, Debbie. There'll be something that'll be raised with them, and that they kind of take a holistic view.
I just think that, they just happened to bring that up again last night as an adult. So yes, so once again, intensification is really high on the menu for a lot of people. The Horswell Quarry in the stone house there, right by the cafe. If you've been out there and had a look inside the wee rooms, there's a lovely lounge room in there and a lovely piano. And well, actually, it's not that lovely. It's very, very old. And ready for I'm just wondering whether, I'm just wondering, there are many pianos that go for free, and I'm wondering if we can find one, can we replace the one that's out there, because the one that's out there is falling to pieces and can't be played, and it would be really good to have one.
We can do that offline, Deb. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, no, that was just brought up to me on several. And also, Greg's asked me to bring up, well, of course, we've asked for this NZTA thing. Are we any closer to having an NZTA meeting on the issues that I've raised in the email? One of those, well, as the email outlines. So, and one of those issues being around Greg's sign, this big sign outside.
Okay. I appreciate you bringing that back, but the emails that we've got back from staff and NZTA are saying that he's been fully briefed on all of those things, and but they've got a different interpretation that he has, and and that's where I would like to get the parties together so they can speak with each other and community board members as well, so we can get a good understanding of the issue. So I did try to get a meeting with NZTA, but they said that he was away for a week and then never got back to me. So anyway, we keep trying these things, but it's just...
but we were going to talk about a multiple number of subjects with them. With safe crossings to Horswell School, the speed zone down Horswell Road outside Horswell Timber here. So we've got several issues that we want to talk to them about, and that's just one of them.
Well,
so
we used to have a good relationship with the NZTA a few years ago.
We did.
And that dropped off. They used to come to our meetings quite regularly, and we discuss a lot of these issues. And I'd like to suggest that we try and reinstate that.
That's good, but also on this particular issue, do try and get a meeting with, in fact, the manager.
Yep.
Well, have we sent an email to them? Have we had a reply from them?
I have sent an email and I have had a reply that they said they were away and would get back to me, when they haven't. Yes. And I've also sent emails and had emails back saying that they've already sent corresponded with the resident, Greg, and that he's had the same from the city council staff. But anyway, that's not solving his situation, unfortunately. No, he's living it day by day, which is not really good. Okay, Deb, so I think we'll keep that moving.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I just comment, Debbie, on your point about Horswell School? So we've got a briefing next week on the 10th of May around that one. So,
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on then to Jimmy and then Andre.
Okay,
You've
thank
got
you.
me then, Mike, have you?
Sorry.
You've got me after that?
Oh, well, you've had your hand up for half an hour, Helen.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Sorry, after Andre, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you, Chair. First one, just want to share with our board members. So regarding to the hearing panel for the the draft annual plan. Council will be started from tomorrow until the 14th of May, around 2 weeks, but not every day. So detail probably you got information from the staff. Yeah. Tomorrow, all the 7 committee will present to the council, plus some of the key stakeholders. Just want to share with you. Second one, regarding the new Hornby Center, because the staff answer my question during the last week finance and the performance committee meeting. Due to the new hydrotherapy pool need a new design, preliminary design and the detailed design, and also go through the procurement process, particular supply chain, etc. They will delay for another 6 months from Q1 in the March of 2023 till the September 2023. Just want to let you know. Piling work has been done at the moment 97%, so that's pretty good. So original the methodology change has been resolved regarding to this one. The budget at the moment still for the main facility $35.9 million. But regarding to the hydrotherapy pool, the total estimate cost $3.9 million. Council contributed $2.5 million. Rota Foundation already granted funding for $300,000. So the rest of them is from the Rotary Club Hornby and the GHRA. They might still going on for the $1.1 million. Third one regarding the Halswell Junction Road extension. Because of this one, I follow up every the monthly meeting. So now all the pre-delivery day will be still in June 2023, but possibly will be the delay because carrier the detailed design, those information still not yet done and give to the staff, so maybe will be delayed. And also approved budget is $12.5 million, but forecast is $13.7 million. So staff will follow the new criteria. They will amendment and present it to the maybe next or following the finance and performance committee meeting. Regarding to the section 2, the MCR South Express. Oh, thank you. Please.
I'll just put my hand up. Actually, no, you carry on.
Okay. Yes. Pardon? You have a question also.
Just put my hand up. I wanted to put my hand up to anyway.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, I misunderstand it. Yeah. The section 2, I would like to just highlight those Buchanan Road. Actually, I follow up this many times, but the staff still not yet give me confirm, the response, particularly regarding to the from a high height to the common road. This section, landscaping and also replanting the tree. They have not yet feedback to me. I only mentioned they will present it to the community board soon. So we need to follow up this one. Okay. The section 1, the MCR from the Templeton to the Hornby, that one. Some of the section are already done. Only part of them have not yet done. But the staff information, majority of the work, they will be done in March of 2023, next year. But still due to the improvement or intersection of the particular Gilbert South and Murphy Street, Parks Road, these sections need to take time. However, staff mentioned this one will be done by December of the 2023. So this need another probably 9 months, further 9 months. But the regard improvement of this section, staff still insist on will present it to the community board soon. But I still don't know when will be presented to the community board. Okay. regarding to the some elect member mentioned the organic the possession option, you know, the plant in the Bromley, because this one council, you know, actually to listen to the all those submissions and dealing with the issue for the several years already. But the last week, Thursday, in the Finance and Performance Committee, we the make decision is agree in principle the location of organics possession facility to the alternative site. However, due to this very complicated, it's not the location. Before the make a location, alternative location, they consider technology, consider joint venture, consider key stakeholders, consider compliant with all those labeling councils for the kind of the, you know, the stakeholders, and also the consider open to the market that can minimize the council the cost. This kind of, you know, they make decision. So all this issue, council request the staff present the council, but regarding the show list relocation option with all those information, with a comparison with a redevelopment current site until next term council, the February 2023. Just want to let you know. Okay, that's a briefly my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your brief report, Jimmy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, moving on to Andre.
Thank you. Last night I attended the Halswell Residents Association, and they recently put out a survey about intersections in Halswell, and I believe they received 500 responses, which is phenomenal. That's a huge sample of data to work with and people you've heard from in the area. And the reality for us here in Halswell is we've got a great big state highway that goes right through our area. And as you could imagine, a lot of the concern about intersections were a Wakakotahi NZTA road. That is Halswell Road. So we do need to push for a meeting with the NZTA, and we need it ideally soon. And there's a number of issues we need to discuss with them, namely the intersection at Aidenfield Drive. We need an update on the Halswell Road upgrade, what the plans are when the countdown goes in. Is it actually going to be another 2 to 4 years before we have lights at the Aidenfield Drive intersection, for example? Is it going to be another 2 to 4 years until we've got a pathway along Halswell Road? Is that the case? We do need an update. I'd like to ask about the new world entrance on Halswell Road. I'd like to ask about the intersection at Halswell Junction and Sparks Road, the intersection at School Road, and the intersection at Glover's Road. We do need a meeting with them. This is the fastest growing area in Christchurch, and there is much to discuss. So it is something we need to push for, absolutely. Next up, I just hoping to check if there's any updates on when we will be expecting a community meeting at Ngāpunawai for residents in the immediate area, if anyone has heard anything further. Anne?
That's a good idea.
Yes, just had an update yesterday from Tessa, who's doing the engagement. It has, with COVID and things, there have been delays, unfortunately. My understanding from talking to Tessa and Andrew Rutledge today is that there will soon be a letter box drop for those immediate people within the week, and that will also have the time for the community meeting. So it is moving slowly, and it is happening. It's just taking a bit longer than we had hoped for. So it is happening. So people will be, most of the affected residents are on a email base, and they receive regular updates about what's happening. So they will know that that's going to be.
When was the last update they got? I'm aware of one on the 17th of February. Have residents received an update since then?
I'm not sure about that, Andre.
No, that's all good. I'm just wondering if we can just check if they have had updates since then, and just if we can get any idea on when that letterbox drop-in meeting might be likely to take place, even just rough times if we're looking at a couple of weeks, if we're looking at a meeting this month, just any ideas.
As soon as I
Awesome, if
know, I'll
possible.
let you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Thank you. That's awesome. Now we've got a briefing next Tuesday, and an issue I've been advised will be discussed at that briefing will be safe pedestrian access between Halswell Road and Country Palms. And it sort of brings me to the issue of transparency again and community engagement. So a briefing like this is one that's obviously of great interest to people in Country Palms. So can everyone mute, please? I think it's solved. So I guess the question I've got is there any reason why a briefing like that shouldn't be public and live streamed and on our YouTube? I think it would be a missed opportunity if we don't consider this going forward. If in some cases there'll be a good reason we can't have briefings live streamed for the public, that's fine. For the most part, I feel like most of them could. There's no reason we shouldn't take the opportunity to engage with our communities, and many will take an interest in briefing like these.
We have had the opportunity to invite members of the public to our briefings before, but that was with permission. We've had permission from the staff on a particular matter. I don't know whether or not it would be live streamed, but it could be worth asking staff.
Yeah.
I can't recall which one it was, Mike, but we have had it before.
I know there has been on some, and I guess my point here is because residents will often, be very busy, not necessarily be able to come along to a briefing of ours or live stream it. But I just can't think of any good reason why, if we've already had a briefing via Zoom, that we couldn't also have it on our community board YouTube and send it to residents and say, hey, look, this was the briefing. You're able to watch it in your own time. It just makes a whole lot of sense to me. And we are continually wanting to better engage with our community. The live streaming of the meetings has been going well, but there's also issues that come up for briefings that residents would really like to be able to participate in, or even just watch. It's still ultimately being engaged with. So,
if I can comment there,
please, yeah.
So traditionally, briefings have been thought of as an opportunity for board and staff to speak freely and, whatever. And that's basically the reason why they're just the two groups traditionally. So
and there'll be times where it is important we do that, but I feel like there's it's really important we start looking at how we better engage with our community. If we're having briefings that would be very useful for our community to be able to watch, we really need to start considering it.
I mean, the cost of that
on various issues,
Andre, is, well, not necessarily the cost, but will you get the same sort of openness and free and frank speech where there's an audience?
We should.
Yeah, we should. I mean, there's nothing I'd ask in a briefing that I wouldn't be comfortable asking in public. We're here to represent the public and voted in by them to represent them. So if there's not something we're comfortable asking in front of them, then
and staff,
we need to have a good look at ourselves. But there'll be some issues that are best offline.
Just an observation. Just
questions we might have to staff.
Okay.
There'll be things that won't be appropriate to be live stream. That's fine, but there's a whole lot of things that are and that should be that haven't been historically. So something we really need to consider. And lastly, it's an issue on Cashmere Road. Now I've sent through some photos to bring up here. That was quick, thank you. Super speedy. So I mean, the issue here speaks for itself, really. So this is right by the Halswell Quarry. Now, if you go further up the road here, there's a new subdivision being built. Reality is this is a road that is going to be used regularly by pedestrians and by cyclists. So it's been regularly used by cyclists for a long time, but now we've got the issue of pedestrians. Now we're looking at people with prams, people walking their dogs, and there will only continue to be more people doing this as the subdivisions be built up around this area. we've got a real obvious issue with lack of accessibility and pedestrian access around the Halls of Quarry on Cashmere Road. So it's something that we really need to make sure is on our board's radar. This wouldn't be sustainable for a number of years. It really would not. So if we could get some form of advice from staff. I know, Anne, you had followed up on a similar issue in Cashmere Road recently. Would you possibly be able to provide any thoughts?
Yeah, there's been a lot of work done on finding ways to improve these connecting pieces between, for pedestrians and bike. Unfortunately, we missed out on funding that was given through, it was Waka Kotahi. We put in a bid for those, the one along that connects Henderson's Road with Cashmere Road. We put in a bid for that one, and also for this stretch as well. I note that the Cashmere Community Board has, in their submission, has put in recommendations for improved safety for cyclists in these areas. And I think you would have seen, I may not have, an email response to a resident from staff about some of those cycle connections along Cashmere Road. So in short, this has been on the radar for a while, and we just have to keep pushing for it to continue to be brought forward as a safety issue.
Yep. Good. Thank you. Is that you, Andre?
Yes. If we could get staff come back to our board on this issue around pedestrian access, would be ideal.
Pedestrian, yes, I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a biggie.
Very good to have a bit. Sorry, Mr. Chair. Would be very good to just have a bit of a perhaps a briefing from staff at some point about where we're up to with these connecting bits and the need for them to be safer, and the work that's been done already on that. That would be helpful.
Well, that was in our community board plan anyway, wasn't it, Ian and Andre?
Yeah, that would be an ideal briefing to have. But there's obviously missing connections around here. There's missing connections up by the Sparks Road.
There was a memo came through just recently from Paul Lowe that addressed this. Now I just can't remember whether it was on the last area report or on the next area report, but it has been sent to me.
I think that may have been to do with the newer parts of Halswell and the safety connections through there. But
thanks.
I think that just having ongoing updates would be useful. I think, given the concerns around this.
Okay.
Awesome. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we've got Helen.
Thank you.
Well, obviously, Mark, and then me again.
You're right. Obviously, the big issue for Riccarton is intensification. There's been 2 attempts at intensification by central government, and there's confusion. The 6 stories, people are not aware that there's potentially 6 stories around commercial shopping centres.
Yes, they are.
No. They are confused. Now, this is around Westfield, both sides of Westfield, and in the area where I live, it's suburban density. So there's particular angst around that. It's also around the Bush Inn Centre, and also the commercial centre is not just Westfield, it's the other side of Riccarton Road, which used to be a lower density commercially, is now going to 20 stories, potentially. Now, it's got recession plans and those things that can mitigate. But
20 stories?
20 stories on both sides of Riccarton Road, which I think will be very dark and very, if it happened, it would be just awful.
The land's not stable enough for 20 stories.
No, I have got it in writing that it's 20 stories potentially. So both sides could be 20 stories. So it creates quite a windy, unpleasant vibe, a bit like Hereford Street used to.
Where have you got that in writing?
I've got it in writing from Mark Stevenson. Now, what happened
Can you
is
send us
in
a copy of that? Can you send us a
in the
copy of that?
last district plan, he changed that from a low commercial height to full commercial height. So that was changed, but now it becomes even higher. so that's the problem. It used to be a height that fitted in with the residential neighbourhood. It actually does if it all goes through, because if the residential neighbourhood is 20 metres, so is the commercial height. But it creates difficulties for the city centre, in my view. You get another real commercial hub outside the actual central city. Now, obviously, Hornby has a similar issue. And I think from my reading of Halswell, there's some concerns around Halswell Common from my reading of it. I can't recall if it's 4 stories or in fact 6 stories, but we can talk about that in fact tomorrow. I just wanted to, so that's the big issue for in fact Riccarton, and it affects a large chunk of in fact Riccarton. Just on the operational side, I did want to ask people, and I've talked to a few of you, I'm of the view that we keep our meetings, once we start our meetings, we actually meet in person, but I'd like to put up the fact that our briefings can actually be online, because it just seems easier if you're getting information to have online Zoom meetings. Has anyone got any comment about that?
I think it's easier for the staff. I think it's easier for the staff.
Easier for us.
Easier for us.
Well, that's what I was going to say. For everybody, especially in this COVID environment, that if they were working from home, then they're not having to travel, etc.
That's fine. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I agree.
I think we're all in agreement.
You're all also in agreement. Now, I did want to raise this issue of could we write to the CE about Richmond Avenue? I won't raise it here. I did want to raise it last meeting, but I got cut off online. So look, I'll raise it perhaps at our next briefing, because I would like to write to the CE and say, look, this has not been handled well. There's been a range of issues which have happened, and we just want to in fact document it. I don't know if it will change anything, but at least we've given our voice on behalf of local residents.
Well, and that's what we've.
It has been documented, and it has been discussed, and we've got email chains as well. So there's a lot of documentation going around. But I appreciate that. Like Andre is suggesting that we actually, we're all suggesting that we do want to have a meeting about this. But I've heard from staff that there is a report coming. So should we wait for the report to come before we get another independent or traffic safety, but a traffic count and speed count done in the area or not? Well, so that's something I'm quite happy to.
Look, I'll put,
we do that. But
well, have we got?
I'll put something through in writing.
Yeah. Hang on, just one at a time, please.
Yeah, I'll put something through in writing. But my view is we should just express concern to the CE. That when ECAN, the bus people and council were working on it initially, they didn't really include residents. And I think if they had, they would have probably had a slightly higher platform, and it probably would have worked better. So
we'll work on something.
We'll work on something around that.
We'll work on something.
Thank you.
They actually informed residents that community board were involved in a community meeting on that issue, and we were not. So. They had to correct the record on that. So that,
thanks.
Okay, do we have an ETA on that report, Mike?
No. Well, no. From the email we got from staff today, is that it's going to be possibly at the next meeting or the meeting after. Staff, can you just give us an update on that?
It will be before the end of the financial year.
Yes.
Okay. But to my knowledge, won't be the next meeting or the meeting after, because it's not already on the agendas and the timeframes. I don't think we need to go on.
Okay, so that does make it, it's going to be longer before we get that report. So maybe staff are going to take on board that we do want to have a bit of action on that before that final.
Yes, I think
report
so.
comes through.
I think so.
Okay. So I've just got Mark. You've got one I want to mention about the Anzac services. Yep.
Yeah, just wanted to thank all those involved in the Hornby Anzac service. I understand it was another fantastic service and well attended and very well run. So thank you to the GHRA, Bob Shearing and all the crew. There was one concern that came out of that service, and that was once again the traffic noise, and whether there's any possibility of some way of controlling the noise of particularly trucks going around during the service in coming years. So one thought that I went to the GHRA meeting was perhaps talk to the companies, but I wonder whether there's anything more formal that can be help them with that through
I can expand a bit on that if you like, Mark. Yes, there was some trucks going past, but they did saw the numbers there. They did slow down, but it certainly was very, very distracting, and it has been an issue. But the cost of implementing a vehicle, shutting the road off, is quite expensive. The only place we have been doing that in our ward has been Templeton in the past when they used to march down Kirk Road. But anyway, it's quite an expense. And the other thing is, as was suggested at the Resident Association meeting on Sunday, is that we actually get some big signs printed and put out at the intersection with Waterloo Road and Carmen Road, and also Waterloo Road and Gilberthorpe's Road. So that, just saying there's an Anzac service in place, can you please avoid this area? So that's something that we will certainly be looking at doing. And the other thing I wanted to say too was that the Templeton one was really good, very well attended. So was Hornby. And I appreciate that our community board members went, and Helen, you went and presented our wreath. And also, Anne, you presented our wreath at the Halswell War Memorial Day, and that and
Debbie.
And Debbie, okay, Debbie, yep. Good. And Jimmy and I actually did the ones at both the Templeton and the Hornby one, and I'd just like to acknowledge too the appreciation that people have got for our community board actually paying for the catering for the Hornby one, some of which went to the Greater Hornby Resident Association, some of the excess Anzac biscuits to the barbecue on Anzac afternoon, and that was greatly appreciated. And also some of the savouries and stuff that were left over also went to the Templeton RSA. So that was really, really good that we could help that out. And I'd just like to hand my appreciation on to Cheryl and for going and getting all that shopping and stuff for that. So that was all well done. But it was really, really well attended. And it was very, very heartening to hear the three young people from Hornby High School, three young ladies presenting there from the high school. They actually spoke absolutely perfectly. And it was just so heartening. Well, it was all moving. A lot of people at those services. It is moving. It's just, it'd be really good if we could get them recorded and videoed actually, so we could share them. For the ones that can't get to everyone, could share a video of those events. So I think that's something that we should have a look at in going into the future. Is there a possibility that we can get video recording done of those Anzac services so that we can share them around? Would be very helpful. Good. But anyway, that's it for me. Mark, did you have anything else then? Yeah, I've just got one more thing. I need to, I guess, inform board members that I'm meeting with staff, Rotary and GHRA reps tomorrow around discussing the fundraising plans around the Hornby Centre hydrotherapy pool. Good. So just make you all aware of that. So that's a work in progress. Okay, thanks very much. If there's anybody else got any more information they wish to exchange? Debbie?
Yes, just following on regarding the Anzac services, I just commenting on our Halswell one, of course, and it's always a beautiful morning. Had a really good turnout. Of course, we managed.
I've been to some that's not, but anyway, that's fine.
Really?
Oh,
Well,
yes.
no, it was a really good turnout, a few hundred people, and we managed to close off the state highway for our one.
No, that's always been the case.
Yeah, I know. Let me finish. Yes, I know it's always been the case. I'm just saying. So look, it's an absolutely wonderful service, and they always vary. I've found that they always vary in the speakers. We had great speakers as well, and a young girl from school, etc. And of course, morning tea at the Halswell Club afterwards. And we've had great feedback from the community. And so not only did I find out that I felt that I heard that a lot of people came in from other areas because the other Anzac services weren't happening. So they found their closest one, which was Halswell, or all your guys' ones as well. So no, it was really good, wasn't it, Anne? Yeah. I know
Okay.
you're on mute, but
Good.
I know you're on mute, Anne, but I can lip read. So
Yeah, it was excellent. Thanks, Debbie.
yeah, it was really good, and we had Paul O'Connor speaking, and I've known him for a wee while from the Lions, and I had no idea of his involvement on missions. So that was a really incredible eye-opener for me. And that's what I enjoy about Anzac Day, is the reflectiveness of Anzac Day in community. So
Okay. Thanks,
it was
Deb.
really good. Thank you.
Okay, that's all. Then.
Lovely.
Okay, thanks very much for your input, and thanks very much for the information that we share in the elected members information exchange, because it does not only get shared with us board members and staff, it gets shared with the wider community. So thanks very much, everybody, for putting the preparation into the elected members information exchange.
Helen's hand is up, Mike.
Oh, it's been up for a while. Helen?
So you're all tomorrow at 4, except for the councillors.
Yes, well, I'll see some in the morning at council at 9 o'clock.
Oh.
But anyway, okay.
Yeah.
So
all the best with that.
community board, our community board is the second will make the submission.
We're on at 9.
Right.
We're on at 9.
No, we're doing our submission committee.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I know. Okay.
AM. Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking
Okay.
our submission on the annual plan tomorrow.
You've got our draft because Mark emailed that to you the other day.
Yeah. Because the council, our hub, team hub already.